Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine standing in front of a mirror, really looking at yourself, past the surface, past the habits, the mistakes, the judgment. What do you see? A stranger? A series of failures? Or someone waiting to be discovered? For too long, many of us live in the shadows of self-doubt, seeking approval from the world while ignoring the quiet, powerful voice within. But what if I told you the most extraordinary journey you will ever embark on begins not outside, but within you? This audiobook is an invitation, a call to finally embrace the person staring back at you, to love yourself more fiercely, more unapologetically than anyone else ever could. Not because the world will always understand, not because perfection is the goal, but because your soul deserves nothing less than full acceptance. Today we begin a journey that will change the way you see yourself, the way you treat yourself, and ultimately, the way you live. Chapter 1. The mirror doesn't lie, but you might. Look at yourself for a moment. Really look. Not the surface, not the shape or the color, not the clothes or the smile you put on for others. Look deeper to the eyes that hold your secrets, your fears, your unspoken dreams. What do you see? For many, that reflection is uncomfortable. We see flaws we've been taught to notice, mistakes we replay in our minds, moments we wish could be erased. We measure ourselves by standards that aren't ours, by expectations borrowed from the world. And in doing so, we forget something essential. That mirror, while honest, cannot tell the whole story. It cannot capture the depth, the complexity, the resilience that lives inside you. I want to start this journey with a question. When was the last time you looked at yourself and truly recognized the person who is there? The person who has survived storms, who has endured heartbreak, who has dared to hope again and again. That person deserves to be seen, not judged, and that, my friend, is where our journey begins. Self does not start with a grand gesture. It begins with awareness. It begins with honesty. It begins with seeing yourself clearly, without illusion, without excuses, without self-sabotage. Because to love yourself, you first have to meet yourself fully, face to face, soul to soul. Think about the moments when you have been your own harshest critic. The times you whispered to yourself, "I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I'll never measure up." Those words sting because they carry power. They shape your reality more than you realize. Every time you believe them, you allow them to define you. Every time you repeat them, you build walls around your heart, walls that make it difficult to love yourself or accept love from others. But here's the truth. Those walls are not permanent. They were built to protect you. Yes, but they were never meant to imprison you. And right now you are standing at the edge of something extraordinary, the possibility of dismantling those walls, brick by brick, with understanding, patience, and compassion. Let me share a story. There was a woman named Maya. She spent her life chasing validation from everyone around her, her friends, her family, her co-workers. No matter how much praise she received, it was never enough. Her reflection, her true self, was always overlooked, hidden beneath layers of doubt and fear. One day, exhausted and broken, she paused. She looked in the mirror, not to find flaws, but to find herself. And in that quiet moment, she whispered, "I see you. I see all that you are." That small act, that simple acknowledgement, became the spark that changed everything. She began to nurture herself, to listen to her own needs, to speak kindly to herself. Slowly she became the person she had been longing to meet all along. You too can have that moment, that pause, that awakening. And it does not require perfection. It does not demand that you erase mistakes or hide the parts of yourself you are ashamed of. It simply requires the courage to say, "I am here, I am real, and I deserve to be known." Self-love is not a destination, it is a practice, a journey, a daily choice. Some days will be easier than others. Some days the reflection in the mirror will feel like an enemy. But every time you choose to meet yourself with honesty and kindness, you grow stronger, more resilient, more aligned with the person you were always meant to be. Consider your mind as a garden. For years, weeds of criticism, comparison, and fear may have taken root. They choke the flowers, the vibrant potential, the beauty waiting to bloom. But the garden is not lost. It only needs attention, care, and intention. With patience, the weeds can be removed, the soil nourished, and your inner flowers, the aspects of you that are worthy, capable, and magnificent, can thrive. This chapter is about laying the foundation for that garden. It is about recognizing the patterns that have shaped your self-perception and understanding that they are not permanent. Your past judgments, your learned fears, your repeated self-doubt, none of them are the final word. You have the power to rewrite your inner narrative. You have the power to cultivate love from within. Take a moment and consider this. Every time you judge yourself, you are ignoring the full truth of who you are. Every time you seek approval from others first, you are diminishing your own voice. But every time you choose to honor yourself, to see yourself fully, you are taking a step toward freedom. Freedom from the need to please, freedom from guilt, freedom from the shadows of self-doubt. The mirror can show you many things. It can reveal scars, imperfections, or the passing of time. But it cannot reveal the depth of your courage, the brilliance of your mind, or the quiet, unwavering strength that has carried you to this very moment. That is something only you can recognize, and only you can choose to honor. By the end of this chapter, I want you to understand this fundamental truth. Loving yourself begins with seeing yourself clearly. Not as a project to be fixed, not as a reflection to be judged, but as a living, breathing, evolving soul worthy of compassion, care, and respect. This is your first step, your first act of courage, the doorway to every transformation that awaits you. As we move forward, we will explore how to break free from seeking validation, how to silence the inner critic, and how to nurture a deep, unshakable love for yourself. But for now, let this thought settle within you. I am here. I am enough. I am ready to meet myself fully. And with that quiet realization, you are standing at the threshold. A door opens to a path of profound self-discovery, where the person you have longed to know is waiting patiently, inside you, waiting to be loved more than anyone else ever could. Turn the page, step forward, and let's begin that journey together. End of Chapter 2. Breaking free from external validation. Have you ever felt the weight of someone else's opinion pressing down on your chest, so heavy that it feels like you can barely breathe? Imagine carrying that weight every day, in every conversation, every glance, every decision. That is the world of living for external validation, where your worth is measured by likes, approval, compliments, or the fleeting smiles of others. And yet, most of us have been trapped here at some point, believing that love, respect, and acceptance must come from outside ourselves. The truth is, this pursuit is exhausting. It is a treadmill with no finish line, a river that never reaches the sea. You give pieces of yourself to everyone else, hoping for approval, only to find that your own reflection feels hollow. You start to forget who you are beneath the expectations, beneath the comparisons, beneath the constant need to prove your value. But there is freedom, freedom waiting for you the moment you realize that your worth does not need anyone's permission. You are not a project to be approved, a character in someone else's story, or a mirror to reflect their desires. You are complete here, now, as you are. And learning to believe this, to truly internalize it, is one of the most radical, transformative acts of self-love you will ever undertake. I want you to picture a bird, trapped in a gilded cage. Every day it stretches its wings, testing the limits, longing for the sky, but the walls keep it contained. It pleases the cage, hopping where it is told, singing when prompted, and yet the sky is beyond those bars. The moment the cage door opens, the bird must make a choice: stay where it is safe and familiar, or trust itself to soar. Seeking external validation is like living in that cage. The door is open, the freedom is available, but the leap requires courage. Breaking free begins with awareness. Notice the moments when you seek approval instead of acting from your own values. Notice the decisions you've made because someone else's opinion mattered more than your own instinct. Awareness is the spark, the first crack in the walls of the cage. Once you see it, you can start to step toward freedom. But awareness alone is not enough. You must also challenge the belief that approval is currency. Ask yourself, whose opinion am I prioritizing, and why? What would happen if I stopped seeking it? What if I trusted myself, instead of others, to validate my worth? These questions may feel uncomfortable at first, because they shake the foundation of the life you've been conditioned to live. But discomfort is the doorway to growth. It is the signal that transformation is beginning. Consider the story of Daniel, a man who spent years climbing the corporate ladder, measuring success by praise and recognition. Every promotion, every compliment, every acknowledgement from his boss filled him temporarily with pride, yet left a hollow ache beneath. One evening, exhausted and restless, Daniel paused. He asked himself a simple but profound question: am I living my life for me or for everyone else? That moment of honesty was a turning point. Slowly, he began to make choices aligned with his values, not applause. He took up passions that had been dormant, spent time with people who nourished his soul rather than his ego, and learned to affirm himself. Over time, the weight lifted. Daniel discovered that the love, respect, and validation he had been chasing externally were already within him. This is not to say the opinions of others do not matter at all. Feedback, guidance, and connection have their place, but there is a difference between seeking input and living for validation. One nourishes growth, the other feeds insecurity. When you stop measuring your worth by what others think, you open space for authentic self-love, a love that is steady, unwavering, and unshakable. The process is gradual, and it requires deliberate practice. Start small, notice a compliment you receive, and accept it without discounting yourself. Make a decision purely because it feels right, without consulting anyone. Observe moments when you feel compelled to please, and gently remind yourself that you are enough as you are. Each of these actions may seem insignificant at first, but they accumulate, building confidence in the power of your own voice. Here is an essential insight: the moment you begin to validate yourself, the world changes. Not because people's opinions suddenly matter less, but because you matter more. Your choices become clearer, your heart feels lighter, and the quiet voice inside you, long overshadowed by external noise, grows stronger. You start living according to your own values, your own rhythm, your own truth. That is liberation. That is self-love in action. Think of it this way: every time you seek validation from others, you give away a piece of your energy. Every time you affirm yourself, you reclaim that energy, reinforcing the boundaries of your inner world. Like a garden, the more you nurture your own soil, the more it blossoms. And as you bloom from within, your interactions with the world naturally shift. You attract connection not out of need, but out of authenticity. You give love without expectation, and you receive it without fear. Now, I want you to visualize a moment of liberation. Picture yourself standing at a crossroads, with one path leading to the familiar comfort of approval seeking, and the other opening to a wide, open sky of self-affirmation. There is fear, yes, there is uncertainty, but there is also exhilaration, possibility, and a deep, grounding peace. That path is yours to take. Step onto it, walk with intention, and know that each step, no matter how small, is an act of love toward yourself. By embracing self-validation, you do more than free yourself from the expectations of others. You awaken your ability to trust, respect, and love yourself fully. And as you do, you prepare for the deeper work ahead, cultivating an inner voice of kindness, transforming criticism into compassion, and discovering that the person you've always sought approval from, the person you needed most, is you. As this chapter closes, hold on to one thought: your worth is inherent. It is not earned, borrowed, or negotiated. Every moment you allow yourself to be guided by your own approval, you reclaim power over your life, your happiness, and your self-love. And with that power comes the invitation to go even deeper, to explore the inner landscapes of your mind, heart, and spirit. The next chapter will guide you through the voice inside, the one that whispers doubts, critiques, and fears, and show you how to transform it into a source of strength, clarity, and unwavering support. It is a journey of listening, understanding, and rewriting the story you tell yourself every day. Step forward, take a breath, and trust this: the freedom you are seeking has always been within you. You only need to claim it. End of chapter. Chapter 3. The voice inside your head. Close your eyes for a moment and listen. Not the sounds around you, not the chatter of the day, but the quiet voice within. That voice that comments on your every choice, judges your every move, and whispers reminders of what you believe you cannot do. It is relentless, isn't it? It critiques your mistakes, magnifies your fears, and questions your worth. For many, it feels like a constant companion, sometimes cruel, sometimes insistent, but rarely gentle. Now imagine if that voice could change. Imagine if instead of tearing you down, it guided you, encouraged you, and reminded you of your potential. The truth is, it can, but only if you learn to listen differently, to reshape its tone, to cultivate it as a source of strength rather than sabotage. We often think the mind is a passive observer, but it is not. Your inner dialogue shapes everything: the decisions you make, the confidence you carry, the love you allow yourself to feel. Every word you whisper to yourself sets the stage for your reality. And yet, most of us let this dialogue run unchecked, allowing criticism, doubt, and fear to dominate. We have been conditioned to believe that the voice inside is the voice of truth. But it is not truth. It is habit. It is repetition. It is a reflection of everything you have absorbed from your upbringing, your experiences, your environment. Consider this: when you were a child, every mistake was often met with correction, sometimes with judgment, sometimes with impatience. You learned to internalize those responses. Every time someone told you, "Be careful," or "Don't mess up," you repeated it inside your mind. Every time you were dismissed, ignored, or compared to someone else, your inner voice absorbed that message, shaping the story you tell yourself about who you are. But here is the liberating realization: that story can change. That voice can be retrained, and it begins with awareness. Start by simply noticing the words you say to yourself. The ones that rise automatically, without thought. Are they kind? Are they compassionate? Or are they harsh, critical, and impatient? Awareness is the first step, because you cannot change what you do not see. Once you have noticed, you begin the work of transformation. Speak to yourself as you would speak to someone you love deeply. Imagine the warmth, the patience, the encouragement you would offer to a child, a friend, or a partner. Now turn that energy inward. Say the words to yourself: "I see you, I hear you, you are doing your best." It may feel strange at first. The inner critic may scoff, resist, or even laugh. That is normal. Change always meets resistance. But with repetition, these words gain power. They begin to overwrite the old, critical script. Let me share a story. There was a man named Luis, who spent years haunted by his inner critic. Every decision was second-guessed, every step forward met with anxiety. His inner voice told him he was inadequate, incapable, unworthy. One evening, in quiet reflection, he began a simple practice. Each morning he spoke affirmations to himself: not grandiose, not fake, just truthful recognition of his effort. I am capable, I am enough, I am allowed to grow at my own pace. At first, it felt hollow, but day after day, week after week, something remarkable happened. Louis's inner voice softened. The words became a foundation, a steady rhythm that replaced fear with courage, doubt with clarity, criticism with guidance. Over time, he discovered that the most important validation, the one that shaped his life, came from himself. Your inner voice is not the enemy. It is a tool. It is a compass. And like any tool, it requires care, attention, and intention. When left unchecked, it can wound, limit, and control you. When trained, it can guide, empower, and remind you of your infinite capacity. Begin small. Notice one negative thought and respond to it gently. Replace, reframe, or soften the message. Instead of saying, "I can't do this," try, "I will do my best, and that is enough." Instead of "I am not worthy," try, "I am learning to value myself more each day." These are not empty words. They are seeds planted in the fertile ground of your consciousness. Over time, they grow into habits of thought, and habits of thought become habits of life. Another key insight: listen not just to criticism, but to curiosity and possibility. Your inner voice can illuminate opportunities, reveal patterns, and guide your intuition. Often the answers you seek in the external world already exist within you, waiting for your attention. By learning to hear, trust, and nurture that voice, you unlock a profound source of wisdom and self-understanding. Consider your mind as a vast library. In it are stories of fear, doubt, past mistakes, and critical voices, but also stories of resilience, love, and possibility. The act of listening is the act of choosing which stories you read, which narratives you give power to, and which ones you rewrite. When you take control of the narrative, you reclaim your life. You become the author of your inner world, not a passive character in someone else's story. And here is the deepest truth: the voice inside you has always been present. It has guided you, shaped you, and protected you in ways you may not have noticed. Now it is time to take the reins, to transform it from a voice of limitation into a voice of empowerment, to make it your ally, not your adversary, to turn the words inside your head into a steady stream of encouragement, understanding, and unwavering support. By the end of this chapter, I want you to feel this: your inner voice is not fixed, it is malleable. Every word you speak to yourself is an opportunity to build love, compassion, and belief. Every thought you nurture shapes your reality, and every moment you choose to respond to your inner dialogue with kindness, patience, and clarity, you take another step toward the person you were always meant to become. As we move forward in the next chapter, we will explore the transformative power of forgiveness, especially the forgiveness you owe to yourself. We will discover how releasing the past, embracing imperfections, and letting go of guilt creates space for profound self-love. But before that, take a moment to reflect. The voice inside you is listening. How will you speak to it from this moment on? Step gently, speak kindly, and know that this inner conversation is the foundation of every change, every act of courage, and every moment of love you will experience from here on. End of Chapter 4. The power of forgiving yourself. Imagine carrying a stone in your pocket. Not just any stone, but one heavy enough to weigh down your every step, your every thought, your every dream. This stone represents all the mistakes, regrets, and if only moments you've held on to. For years, maybe decades, you have carried it, allowing it to define you, to limit you, to whisper that you are not enough. Now imagine setting that stone down, feeling the sudden relief, the lightness, the breath that you forgot you were capable of taking. That is the power of forgiving yourself. It is the liberation that comes when you stop punishing the person you have been and start embracing the person you are becoming. Forgiveness is often reserved for others. We learn to say, "I forgive you," when someone hurts us, but the hardest person to forgive is often ourselves. We replay mistakes in our minds, as if repeating them will somehow erase them, or as if guilt is a currency we must pay indefinitely. But guilt is not wisdom, shame is not growth. Holding on to these feelings only anchors you to a version of yourself that no longer serves you. I want you to picture a garden after a storm. The wind has torn leaves from trees, broken branches litter the ground, and the soil is heavy with water. At first it looks as though everything is lost, but if the gardener begins to tend the soil, to remove debris, to nurture new growth, life returns. Forgiving yourself is the gardener's hand, clearing the storm's damage, allowing new life, new hope, and new possibility to grow. Consider the story of Aisha. She had carried guilt for years over decisions she believed had hurt others. Every day was a cycle of self-criticism and regret. One morning, exhausted from carrying this burden, she sat quietly and allowed herself to feel the weight of her mistake. But instead of judgment, she asked a simple question: "What can I learn from this? How can I honor myself despite it?" In that moment, she forgave herself, not because what happened was perfect, but because she recognized that self-punishment would not undo the past, only steal the future. With each act of self-forgiveness, Aisha's heart grew lighter, her spirit stronger, and her life richer. Forgiving yourself does not mean forgetting or excusing what has happened. It does not erase accountability or responsibility. It means acknowledging your humanity. It means understanding that mistakes are not a reflection of unworthiness, but of growth, of learning, of the courage it takes to try. You are allowed to falter. You are allowed to fail. And you are allowed to rise again, carrying the lessons, not the chain. Think of every mistake as a stone on a riverbank. You do not need to carry it into the current of your life. You can set it down, watch it settle, and allow the water to flow freely around it. Forgiveness is not a single act. It is a practice, a decision repeated daily. Every time you choose to forgive yourself, you reclaim energy, clarity, and peace that was trapped in guilt and self-blame. It is important to recognize the patterns that make self-forgiveness difficult. Often we are harsher with ourselves than we would ever be with others. We hold ourselves to impossible standards, forgetting that we are human, not flawless. Every misstep becomes a lesson in compassion. When you treat yourself with the same patience and understanding you offer to others, you cultivate resilience and love within your own heart. Let's consider another perspective. Imagine a sculptor with a block of marble. Each strike is deliberate, shaping the form within. Now imagine judging the sculpture for every chip, every mark, every imperfection created in the process. The beauty would never emerge. Your life is the sculpture. Forgiveness is recognizing that the marks, the mistakes, the lessons, they are all part of your evolving masterpiece. To reject them is to reject the art itself. To embrace them is to step fully into the life you were always meant to create. Forgiving yourself also transforms your relationship with others. When you stop punishing yourself, you become more compassionate toward others. You understand the struggles, the flaws, and the humanity in people around you, because you have faced them within yourself. Self-forgiveness is not just a gift to your own heart, it is the foundation for deeper empathy, connection, and love in the world. Begin with small steps. Choose one past mistake, one regret, one moment of self-judgment, and say to yourself, "I forgive you, I release this burden, I am allowed to grow from this." Feel the shift in your chest, the easing of tension, the space opening for self-acceptance. Over time, these small acts accumulate, transforming the way you perceive yourself, your life, and your potential. Remember, forgiveness is an act of courage. It requires honesty, humility, and strength. It asks you to confront the past without allowing it to control the present. It invites you to step into a new reality, where mistakes are teachers, not jailers, and where your value is not defined by errors, but by your willingness to continue, to heal, and to love yourself fully. By the end of this chapter, you should feel a sense of liberation. The stone is lighter, your heart is more open, your spirit is beginning to stretch toward possibility. Forgiveness is the bridge from self-judgment to self-love, and crossing it marks the first major step in reclaiming the life, the peace, and the joy you deserve. In the next chapter, we will explore authenticity, how embracing your true self, with all its quirks, contradictions, and brilliance, becomes a source of deep empowerment and unshakable self-love. For now, hold this truth. The act of forgiving yourself is a radical, transformative love, and it is yours to practice every single day. Step forward, set the stone down, and feel the weight lift. The journey continues, and with each step you are closer to the freedom, acceptance, and love that has always been waiting within you. Chapter 5. Embracing your authentic self. Have you ever felt the quiet ache of pretending? The subtle tension of molding yourself to fit into a world that seems to demand someone you are not. Perhaps it shows in small ways: a smile when you don't feel joy, a word you speak to please rather than express, a choice you make out of fear rather than desire. This, my friend, is the cost of living without authenticity. And it weighs heavier than most of us realize. Imagine a bird with wings meant to soar freely, yet it keeps its wings folded, hidden under a cloak of expectation. The sky calls to it vast and open, filled with wind, sunlight, and possibility, but fear of judgment, of failure, of not belonging, keeps it grounded. Your life is often the same. Your true self longs to rise, to create, to speak, to live fully, but habits, fears, and voices from the past hold you back. Authenticity is the act of unfolding your wings. It is the courage to show up exactly as you are, without disguise, without apology, without fear. It is not loud, it is not flashy. It is quiet, steady, and profoundly powerful. It begins with recognition, the honest acknowledgement of who you are, your desires, your quirks, your flaws, and your brilliance. Many of us spend years trying to fit molds designed by others, society, family, friends, culture. We learn to camouflage our true selves, believing that acceptance can only come with compromise. But the truth is the opposite. Acceptance begins within. When you embrace your authentic self, you no longer rely on external approval. You live from a place of internal alignment, and the world responds, not because you are performing, but because you are fully present. Let me tell you about Samira. She spent years hiding her love for painting. At work, she conformed to the expectations of her colleagues. At home, she played the role her family valued. Inside, however, her creativity simmered, unexpressed, aching for release. One day she picked up a brush and painted in silence, without permission, without anyone watching. That small act of authenticity was transformative. It rippled through her life. Her confidence grew, her relationships deepened, and her world began to reflect the truth she had long hidden. Her essence was worthy simply because it existed. Authenticity is not about perfection, it is about honesty. It is the courage to say, "This is me, and I am enough." It is the willingness to let others see the real you, even if some may not understand, approve, or agree. And here is the remarkable truth. The people and experiences aligned with your authenticity will gravitate toward you naturally. The rest will fade, not out of rejection, but because your life can no longer be defined by what is false. One of the greatest barriers to authenticity is fear. The fear of being rejected, misunderstood, or vulnerable. But fear is often just a signal that you are approaching something meaningful. Every time you choose to honor your true self despite fear, you strengthen the bridge between who you are and who you are meant to become. Vulnerability becomes courage, and courage becomes freedom. Consider your life as a canvas. Every day you choose colors, brushstrokes, and texture. If you paint to please others, the canvas reflects their vision, not yours. But when you paint authentically, each stroke becomes a declaration of your existence, a testament to your truth, a celebration of your journey. No one else can create that masterpiece. Only you can. Authenticity also requires shedding expectations. Often, we carry invisible weights, the dreams others had for us, the judgments we internalized, the roles we felt compelled to play. To embrace yourself fully, you must set those aside. Ask yourself, which parts of me are truly mine? Which parts have I been performing? The answers may be uncomfortable, but they are necessary. Self-discovery is never easy, but it is always transformative. One practical step is daily reflection. Set aside time to ask yourself, what did I do today that felt true to me? Where did I compromise unnecessarily? How can I honor my authentic desires tomorrow? These reflections illuminate the ways in which you are living in alignment or out of alignment with your true self. Awareness alone begins the process of reclamation. Another step is to act on your truth, even in small ways. Speak your mind when it matters. Choose experiences that excite you, not just those that are expected. Surround yourself with people who celebrate your essence, not those who dilute it. Each act is a declaration. I am here. I am real. I will not hide anymore. Embracing your authentic self is also deeply connected to self-compassion. As you reveal more of yourself, imperfections may be exposed. Mistakes may happen. Vulnerabilities may be tested. But these are not failures. They are proof of your humanity, proof that you are alive, proof that your journey is genuine. Loving yourself means embracing this fullness without judgment or denial. By the end of this chapter, I want you to feel the quiet power of authenticity. It is not a loud proclamation, but a steady grounding force. It is the liberation of living as you were meant to live, speaking as you were meant to speak, and creating as you were meant to create. It is the alignment of your inner truth with your outer expression. And when you do this, self-love becomes inevitable, because you are no longer fragmented by compromise or fear. You are whole. In the next chapter, we will explore the art of setting boundaries, a critical practice for preserving your authenticity and nurturing self-respect. You will learn how to protect your energy, say no without guilt, and prioritize your own needs without fear of rejection. For now, take a deep breath and reflect, which part of your true self have you been hiding? And what small step can you take today to reveal it? The journey of authenticity is ongoing, but each step forward is a victory. Every moment you live your truth, you strengthen the foundation of self-love and open the door to the life you are always meant to embrace. End of Chapter 6. The Art of Setting Boundaries. Imagine standing in a room where everyone is pulling at your arms, tugging you in different directions. Every request, every expectation, every demand feels like a weight pressing against your chest. You want to move, to breathe, to live, but the pressure is relentless. This is what life feels like without boundaries, a constant drain on your energy, your joy, and your sense of self. Boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They are the lines you draw to protect your energy, honor your needs, and respect your inner truth. They are a declaration: I am here, I matter. My time, my feelings, my life are important. Without boundaries, authenticity falters, self-love falters. You may give endlessly, please compulsively, and sacrifice yourself quietly, believing it is necessary or noble. But in truth, the absence of boundaries is a slow erosion of your vitality. Think of boundaries as the edges of a garden. They define the space where life can grow. Without them, weeds take over, plants suffocate, and the garden fails to thrive. Your mind, your body, and your heart are the garden. Boundaries protect them. They allow your true self, the authentic, creative, vibrant you, to flourish without being overwhelmed by the expectations, demands, or criticisms of others. Setting boundaries begins with awareness. Notice where you feel drained, resentful, or stretched too thin. These feelings are signals, whispers from your inner self, saying, something here is not right. Pay attention. Reflect honestly. Which interactions leave me feeling alive? Which ones leave me depleted? Where do I say yes when I want to say no? This self-awareness is the first step in reclaiming your power. Now comes the courage to act. Boundaries require honesty and sometimes confrontation, but they are not aggressive, they are protective. A simple, firm statement can transform your life. I cannot take this on right now. I need time for myself. I am not comfortable with this. These words, spoken calmly and clearly, communicate respect for yourself and for others. And here is the remarkable truth. When you honor yourself, people often respond with respect as well. Let me share the story of Marcus. For years he said yes to everything: overtime at work, favors for friends, obligations he didn't want. His energy drained, his creativity dimmed, and his relationships suffered. One day, Marcus realized he was losing himself. He began setting small boundaries, leaving work on time, declining unnecessary favors, prioritizing his health and passions. At first, there was resistance, some frustration from others, but over time he noticed a shift. He felt lighter, more focused, more aligned. The people who mattered respected him, and those who didn't naturally drifted away. His life became a reflection of his values, not of others' expectations. Boundaries also teach us to say no without guilt. This is a radical form of self-love. Saying no is not selfish, it is an affirmation of your worth, your time, and your priorities. Each time you say no to what does not serve you, you say yes to yourself. You make space for the relationships, opportunities, and experiences that align with your truth. Another aspect of boundaries is emotional protection. You cannot control how others treat you, but you can control how much you allow their behavior to impact your inner world. Choosing to step away from toxic relationships, refusing to engage in harmful conversations, or limiting exposure to negativity are all acts of self-respect. These decisions are not acts of abandonment, they are acts of preservation, protecting the garden of your mind and heart so it can flourish. Boundaries also nurture clarity. When you define what is acceptable and what is not, you reduce confusion, indecision, and resentment. Life becomes simpler. Your energy is spent on what matters most. Your choices are aligned with your authentic self, and your relationships become healthier, based on mutual respect rather than obligation or manipulation. It is important to recognize that setting boundaries can trigger discomfort. Others may test them. Your own fears, fear of rejection, fear of conflict, fear of disappointing, may arise. These moments are not failures, they are opportunities to strengthen your commitment to yourself. Boundaries are must. They grow stronger with practice, and each act of courage reinforces your self-respect and love. Start small. Set a boundary in a low-stakes situation, a request you do not want to fulfill, a conversation you need to step away from, a personal space you need to protect. Notice how it feels. Notice the relief, the subtle empowerment, the affirmation that your needs matter. Over time, these small acts compound into a profound transformation of how you live, interact, and value yourself. Boundaries are also a gift to others. When you communicate your limits, you teach others how to treat you. You model respect, honesty, and integrity. Authentic relationships thrive not in the absence of limits, but because limits exist. They create safety, clarity, and trust. People know where you stand, and you know where they stand. This mutual understanding deepens connection and reduces unnecessary tension. By the end of this chapter, I want you to feel the quiet power of boundaries. They are not restrictions, they are liberation. They allow your authentic self to breathe, to create, and to shine without compromise. They are the backbone of self-love, the framework for respect, and the soil in which your personal growth flourish. In the next chapter, we will explore the importance of nourishing your mind, body, and soul, practical strategies for daily self-care that reinforce boundaries, authenticity, and inner strength. For now, take a deep breath and consider this. What is one boundary you can set today that will honor your energy, protect your peace, and affirm your worth? Remember, every boundary you honor is an act of love toward yourself. Every act of self-respect is a declaration: I matter. My life matters. My love for myself matters. Step forward with courage and watch how the world begins to respond in kind. End of Chapter 7, Nurturing Your Mind, Body and Soul. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine a candle burning. The flame flickers, delicate yet alive, providing light, warmth, and clarity. Now imagine trying to light a room full of candles with only one fragile flame. It sputters, struggles, and eventually dims. This is what it feels like when you try to give your best to the world without nurturing your own mind, body, and soul. Your inner flame cannot sustain others if it is neglected. Self-love is not just an idea, it is a daily practice, and one of the most powerful ways to cultivate it is by intentionally caring for your mind, body, and soul, the three pillars that hold your life upright. When these are nourished, you create a foundation of strength, clarity, and resilience. When they are neglected, even the simplest challenges feel monumental. Let's begin with the mind. Your thoughts are the architects of your reality. Every day they construct your perceptions, your moods, and your beliefs about yourself and the world. Yet, so often, we allow our minds to be flooded with negativity, criticism, and fear. We consume harmful media, replay past regrets, and ruminate on what-ifs that steal our energy. Nurturing the mind means choosing what enters your mental space. It is setting aside time for reflection, for learning, for growth. It is reading books that inspire you, listening to ideas that expand your perspective, and engaging in conversations that challenge and elevate you. Your mind thrives on curiosity, creativity, and truth. And when you feed it intentionally, it becomes a source of clarity, focus, and insight. Next is the body, the vessel that carries you through life, often taken for granted, yet so miraculous in its design and resilience. Nourishing the body is not about perfection or appearances, it is about respect. It is the deliberate choice to move, to fuel, and to rest. It is the stretch of muscles, the deep inhale of fresh air, the water that hydrates, the meals that energize. It is sleep that restores your cells, your energy, and your emotional equilibrium. Every act of care for your body is a declaration: I honor myself. I am worthy of health, strength, and vitality. Neglecting it, even in small ways, erodes your confidence, your energy, and your ability to experience life fully. Then there is the soul, the quiet, sacred part of you that craves connection, meaning, and purpose. Nurturing the soul requires stillness, reflection, and engagement with what inspires you. It may be prayer, meditation, or simply sitting in silence, listening to the rhythm of your own breath. It may be the arts, nature, or acts of kindness that ripple outward. Nourishing the soul is about feeding the essence of who you are, not just what you do. It is giving yourself permission to dream, to hope, to feel deeply. When the soul is cared for, life is not just endured, it is felt, celebrated, and cherished. Consider the story of Elena. She worked tirelessly, giving to everyone around her, yet felt constantly exhausted and empty. One day she committed to a simple routine, 30 minutes of mindful reading for the mind, a daily walk for the body, and time each evening to journal and reflect for the soul. Within weeks, Elena noticed a shift. She was calmer, more focused, more present. Her interactions with others improved, her creativity returned, and most importantly, she felt connected to herself again. This small, consistent practice of nurturing all aspects of herself transformed her experience of life. Nurturing yourself is not indulgence, it is necessity. It is the recognition that you cannot pour from an empty cup, and that self-love is an act of responsibility, not selfishness. It is the act of saying, I deserve care, I deserve attention, I deserve time to replenish, so I can thrive. Begin with small intentional steps. Choose one practice for your mind, one for your body and one for your soul, and commit to it each day. Perhaps it is reading a chapter of a book that inspires you, taking a brisk walk in the morning sunlight, and spending 5 minutes in meditation or reflection. Notice how each action shifts your energy, your focus, and your connection to yourself. Over time, these practices compound, creating a resilience that carries you through challenges with grace and strength. Remember, nurturing yourself is also about listening. Pay attention to your fatigue, your cravings, your emotions. When your mind needs rest, rest it. When your body needs movement, move it. When your soul needs space, give it room to breathe. Self-care is not rigid, it is responsive. It is the art of reading your own needs and honoring them, without hesitation or guilt. There is another profound benefit. When you nurture yourself, you create a ripple effect. Your energy, clarity, and vitality spill over into your relationships, your work, and your passions. Others feel it, respond to it, and are inspired by it. By caring for yourself, you give permission for the world around you to flourish as well. By the end of this chapter, I want you to feel the power of intentional self-nourishment. Your mind, body, and soul are interconnected, each supporting the other. When cared for, they become a wellspring of strength, clarity, and joy. When neglected, even the simplest challenges can feel overwhelming. The choice to nurture yourself is the choice to honor your life, your potential, and your ability to love yourself fully. In the next chapter, we will explore resilience, the art of bouncing back from life's challenges without losing sight of your worth or your inner flame. We will learn how nurturing the mind, body, and soul prepares you to face adversity with courage, grace, and unwavering self-love. For now, take a moment to reflect. What one practice can you commit to today to honor your mind, your body, and your soul? Every moment you invest in yourself is a declaration. I am worthy. I am whole. I am loved. Step forward with intention and watch how your inner flame grows stronger, brighter, and more alive with each passing day. End of Chapter 8. Building Resilience and Inner Strength. Picture a storm sweeping across the landscape. Trees bend, rivers surge, and the sky roars with intensity. Yet some trees stand firm, their roots deep, their trunks flexible, their branches reaching upward despite the wind. Life is often this storm. Challenges arrive without warning: loss, disappointment, rejection, failure, and how we face them depends on one crucial quality: resilience. Resilience is not just the ability to endure, it is the capacity to rise again and again with purpose, courage, and faith in yourself. It is the inner strength that allows you to face adversity without losing sight of your worth, without abandoning your self-love, without surrendering to despair. Resilience is forged in the fires of experience, shaped by conscious choice and strengthened by deliberate practice. Think of it this way: life will test you, yes, but it does not define you. The storms are inevitable, but how you respond is your declaration of power, your assertion that you are more than circumstance. Resilience is a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it grows. Each setback becomes a lesson, each challenge a stepping stone, each moment of struggle an opportunity to deepen your courage and your connection to yourself. Many of us confuse resilience with stoicism. We believe we must suppress emotions, hide vulnerability, or tough it out alone. True resilience, however, is not denial. It is acknowledgement. It is allowing yourself to feel pain, disappointment, or fear fully, while also committing to move forward, to learn, and to heal. It is the balance of heart and mind, vulnerability and strength, acceptance and action. Let me share the story of Rena. She faced a sudden career setback. A position she had worked toward for years was lost to unforeseen circumstances. At first, she was devastated, her confidence shattered. But instead of succumbing to despair, she chose resilience. She reflected on her strengths, sought guidance, and embraced opportunities she had never considered before. Months later, she discovered a path even more aligned with her passions and values. Her resilience transformed a moment of loss into a doorway of growth. Resilience is built on self-trust. When you believe in your ability to navigate life, you no longer fear challenges. You face them with clarity, knowing that even if the outcome is uncertain, your inner compass remains intact. Each decision becomes an act of self-empowerment rather than reaction. Each challenge becomes a teacher rather than a threat. Another vital component is perspective. Life's difficulties are not always personal, nor are they permanent. By cultivating a broader view, you can see setbacks as temporary and manageable, rather than as catastrophic or defining. This shift does not minimize the pain, it acknowledges it, but it allows you to respond from a place of power, not panic. Perspective is the lens through which resilience is magnified. Resilience also requires self-care, which we explored in the previous chapter. When your mind, body, and soul are nourished, your foundation is stronger. You face adversity not from depletion, but from strength. Daily practices, rest, reflection, movement, and mindful attention fortify you for the storms that inevitably arise. Each act of self-nurturing becomes armor, invisible but unbreakable. Equally important is connection. You are not meant to face life alone. Sharing your experiences, seeking guidance, and allowing support does not weaken resilience, it amplifies it. The strength of community, the empathy of others, and the shared human experience remind you that you are seen, valued, and capable. Vulnerability becomes a bridge, not a burden. Resilience also grows from purpose. When you are clear about what matters most to you, your values, your passions, your vision, setbacks lose some of their sting. Challenges become tests, not traps. Each decision, each action, is guided by a compass rooted in your truth. Purpose provides direction when chaos surrounds you, and a reason to rise when the ground feels unsteady. Let us consider the practice of reframing. Every difficulty carries a lesson, even if hidden at first. When faced with hardship, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can this experience strengthen me? What does this reveal about my values and priorities? Reframing transforms obstacles into opportunities for growth. It is the alchemy of turning struggle into wisdom, fear into courage, and despair into hope. By the end of this chapter, I want you to feel the quiet power of resilience. It is not the absence of difficulty, but the presence of inner strength. It is the awareness that no matter what life throws your way, you have the capacity to endure, adapt, and thrive. Resilience is self-love in action. The daily choice to honor your worth, maintain your integrity, and rise even when the winds of life are fierce. In the next chapter, we will explore the power of self-compassion, how kindness toward yourself nurtures growth, heals wounds, and deepens your capacity for love. For now, reflect on this. What challenges have you faced that revealed your inner strength? How can you use those experiences to fortify your resilience for the moments yet to come? Every storm you face is not just an obstacle, it is an opportunity to discover how unshakable, how radiant, and how profoundly capable your spirit truly is. Stand tall, trust yourself, and know that with resilience as your companion, no challenge is insurmountable. End of Chapter 9. The Power of Self-Compassion. Imagine standing before a mirror, looking deep into your own eyes. Now, consider this. How often do you speak to yourself with kindness, encouragement, and understanding? How often do you forgive yourself for mistakes, embrace your imperfections, and honor your humanity? For many, the answer is rarely. Yet self-compassion is one of the most profound acts of self-love you can practice. It is the gentle hand that guides you through life's storms, the voice that whispers, "You are enough." Self-compassion begins with awareness. Notice when you are harsh, critical, or impatient with yourself. These moments are opportunities, not for guilt, but for gentle correction. Recognize that being human means making mistakes, experiencing doubt, and encountering failure. It is in the acceptance of these truths, without judgment, that the seeds of compassion take root. Think of a child learning to walk. Each stumble is met not with scolding, but with patience and encouragement. Imagine if you treated yourself the same way. Instead of berating yourself for errors, you offer understanding, forgiveness, and support. Self-compassion is the same principle applied to your own adult life, nurturing your growth, rather than punishing your shortcomings. Consider the story of Daniel. He was consumed by self-criticism, feeling inadequate in his career, relationships, and personal goals. Each setback felt like a confirmation that he was failing. One day, he chose to approach himself differently. Instead of saying, "I am not enough," he said, "I am learning. I am growing. I am doing my best." That simple shift in language, in tone, in intention, transformed his experience. He began to take risks, pursue opportunities, and embrace his imperfections as part of his unique journey. Self-compassion also requires presence. It is not a distant ideal, it is an active, conscious choice in each moment. When you feel disappointment, fear, or pain, pause, breathe, offer yourself words of comfort and understanding, just as you would a dear friend. Remind yourself that struggles are universal, not personal failings. In these moments, you practice radical acceptance, acknowledging reality while refusing to diminish your worth. One of the most powerful aspects of self-compassion is its ability to transform shame. Shame isolates, diminishes, and distorts. Self-compassion shines a light in its darkness, reminding you that mistakes do not define your identity, that flaws do not erase your value. By cultivating compassion for yourself, you weaken the hold of shame and strengthen your resilience, your confidence, and your inner peace. Self-compassion also strengthens your relationships. When you are gentle with yourself, you extend that gentleness to others. You respond with patience rather than frustration, empathy rather than judgment. You become a source of understanding, not only for yourself, but for everyone around you. In this way, self-compassion is a gift that radiates outward, enriching every interaction and connection in your life. It is important to understand that self-compassion is not complacency. It is not an excuse to avoid responsibility or growth. Rather, it is a foundation upon which true development rests. By treating yourself with kindness, you cultivate the courage to face challenges, the clarity to learn from mistakes, and the resilience to persevere without self-criticism weighing you down. Begin with small practices. When you notice self-judgment, pause and reframe. Replace "I failed" with "I did my best, and I can learn from this." When overwhelmed by pressure or expectation, offer yourself a moment of stillness, a few deep breaths, or a gentle reminder, "I am enough, exactly as I am in this moment." Over time, these small acts accumulate, rewiring the way you relate to yourself. Another practice is writing a self-compassion letter. Address yourself as you would a dear friend, acknowledging your struggles, offering understanding, and reminding yourself of your inherent worth. The act of putting these words on paper deepens the internalization of kindness and strengthens your capacity for self-love. Self-compassion also allows you to embrace imperfection. Life is not about flawless execution or constant achievement. It is about growth, experience, and presence. Each mistake, each failure, each disappointment is a teacher, and each act of self-compassion allows you to receive those lessons without fear or self-loathing. By the end of this chapter, I want you to feel the gentle, unwavering power of self-compassion. It is not passive, it is transformative. It is the recognition that you are human, that you are worthy, and that your life is deserving of care, patience, and love. Self-compassion is the bridge between your struggles and your growth, the balm that heals wounds and nurtures courage. In the final chapter, we will bring together all that you have learned: self-awareness, boundaries, nurturing, resilience, and compassion, into a cohesive practice of living fully, loving yourself deeply, and stepping confidently into your most authentic life. For now, reflect. How can you speak to yourself with the kindness, patience, and encouragement you freely offer others? How can you become your own ally, your own guide, your own unwavering source of support? Every act of self-compassion is a seed. Nurture it, and watch as your life blossoms with confidence, clarity, and the profound joy of loving yourself more than anyone else. Chapter 10. Living fully, loving yourself deeply. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine standing at the edge of a vast horizon. The sun is rising, painting the sky with colors you didn't know existed. The air is fresh, the world is quiet, and a gentle wind brushes your skin. This moment, right here, is yours. Every heartbeat, every breath, every thought is a chance to step into your fullest, most authentic life. And it begins with one undeniable truth: you are worthy of love, especially your own. This final chapter is not just an ending, it is a culmination, a gathering of every insight, every lesson, every reflection we have explored together. It is the moment where self-awareness meets action, where intention meets reality, and where the love you cultivate for yourself transforms everything you touch, everything you feel, and everything you become. To live fully is to embrace every part of yourself, the light and the shadow, the strengths and the vulnerabilities, the successes and the stumbles. Life does not demand perfection, it demands presence. It asks you to step into each day fully, with curiosity, courage, and a heart wide open. And the foundation for this presence is self-love, unwavering and deep. Imagine for a moment carrying yourself through life as if you were your own closest friend. Speaking to yourself with encouragement, noticing your needs, honoring your emotions, forgiving your mistakes. When you begin to treat yourself with this care, something extraordinary happens. The world begins to reflect it back to you. Your boundaries are respected, your choices are clear, your relationships are richer, and your inner peace is profound. Living fully also means embracing your passions and purpose. It is no accident that certain desires stir your soul, that certain paths call you forward. These are not mere whims, they are invitations to align with your deepest truth. When you pursue them, even imperfectly, you honor the unique life that belongs to you. And in doing so, you nurture your self-respect, your confidence, and the certainty that you are enough. Every decision, every action becomes a reflection of your self-love. Saying no when necessary, asking for what you need, letting go of relationships that drain you. All of these are acts of courage and love. They are choices that declare, my life, my boundaries, and my heart are sacred. They are choices that build the life you were meant to live. Consider the story of Maya, who spent years prioritizing others while neglecting herself. She was exhausted, unfulfilled, and disconnected from her own desires. One day she made a quiet but revolutionary choice to listen to herself first, to nurture her needs, to honor her heart. Slowly she reclaimed her energy, her joy, and her voice. By choosing herself, Maya did not abandon others. She became a more present, loving, and vibrant force in the world. Self-love also requires forgiveness, both for yourself and for those who may have caused pain. Carrying grudges, shame, or regret is like holding weights on your shoulders. It limits movement, clouds vision, and drains your energy. Forgiveness is liberation. It is a conscious choice to release the burden, to embrace your growth, and to step forward with clarity and courage. Living fully demands courage because it asks you to be seen, to express your truth, and to step into life with authenticity. And yet the reward is immeasurable: freedom, joy, fulfillment, and the unshakable knowing that you are enough exactly as you are. The world becomes not a place to survive, but a canvas upon which you can paint your unique, radiant life. Integration is the final practice of self-love. Every lesson we have explored, awareness, boundaries, nurturing, resilience, self-compassion, becomes a living part of you. They are not abstract ideas. They are tools, habits, and intentions woven into your daily life. This integration is the bridge from understanding to embodiment, from thought to action, from knowing to truly living. Now take a deep breath and feel the fullness of this moment. Feel the strength in your spine, the calm in your chest, the spark of possibility in your mind. This is you, alive, worthy, and capable. Each day from this point forward is an opportunity to practice the love you owe yourself, to embrace your life with curiosity and courage, and to step boldly into your most authentic expression. As you move forward, remember this: self-love is not a destination. It is a continuous journey, a practice of returning to yourself again and again, with patience, kindness, and dedication. There will be moments of doubt, moments of fear, and moments of struggle. That is inevitable. But with every act of self-love, every choice to honor yourself, you build a life of resilience, joy, and profound meaning. So step into the horizon with confidence, speak to yourself with gentleness, act with integrity, forgive with grace, nurture your body, your mind, and your spirit. Protect your energy and embrace your passions. Live boldly, love deeply, and trust in your inherent worth. This is your life, your heart, your journey, and it is enough, more than enough. Every step you take in loving yourself more than anyone else is a step toward freedom, empowerment, and the extraordinary life you were born to live. Now carry this truth with you. The love you cultivate within is the love that shapes your world. It is the light that illuminates your path, the anchor in your storms, and the foundation of your most vibrant life. You have arrived not at perfection, but at presence. Not at completion, but at awakening. You have begun to live fully and love yourself deeply, and that, my friend, is everything. End of chapter.